everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Chris Delaney, Cobb EMC's VP of Marketing and Corporate Communications, and we have an exciting webinar planned for all of you today. So thank you again for joining us today. We're very excited. And with that, I am going to hand it off to Dennis McKeon for our tips on maintaining your HVAC unit in the summer.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate you having me here. My name's Dennis McKeon. I'm with D. McKeon Heating and Air Conditioning. We're located in Kennesaw, Georgia, and have been a heating and air contractor for 38 years here in this community. If we can go to the next slide. Well, there's our building. We can go to the next slide. So we're going to talk about planned maintenance agreements. And planned maintenance agreement is key to keeping your air conditioner at peak performance and to keep it operating chilled in your house and reliable. That's what I'm looking for, reliable. So in the PMA, we want to have, you want it clean. It's better if everything operates clean. Clean means more efficient, and more efficient means lower electric bills and better comfort in your home. Next slide. So basics homeowners can do: one, change your filters, clean debris out of your equipment, rinse and wash your condenser coil, inspect condensate drain lines, and inspect your emergency condensate drain lines. And I've got condensate drain lines in there twice because there's a lot of damage done with water, and the condensate comes off your evaporator coil, and then it comes down into a drain and then comes out and goes into a pipe or goes into a pump and pumps outside your house. So if that's not working properly, then you have your emergency condensate drain, and that's one that you need to inspect also. We'll get into that more in just a minute. So next slide, please. So in keeping your system clean, one of the main things a homeowner can do is change your filters. But there is a group called ASHRAE. It's an engineering group, which is American Society of Heating, Refrigeration, Air Conditioning Engineers. And they've designed this system to rate filters. So filters is very important to actually change, and they're rated in a MERV, M-E-R-V, minimum efficiency reporting value. And the MERV rating will go from 1 to 20. And if we go on to the next slide, you may wonder what MERV rating you want to use. So basically, you got two groups: ASHRAE, which is that engineering group, and you've got the U.S. Department of Energy that have recommendations. ASHRAE recommends a MERV rating of 6 or higher, and the Department of Energy recommends that you go from MERV 13 and higher. Now, the differences is that what the particles of dirt and dust can get through a filter. That's what that basically means. The higher the number, the more particles of dirt it collects. So usually if you go to the next filter or the next slide, this is what you don't want your filter to look like. When our technicians come out and see this, they refer to it as the doormat. The doormat is a very dirty filter that looks like a doormat. It's so dirty, everybody's wiped their feet on it. And this is what people are breathing in their house, because this circulates air through the duct system and then into your house. And if your filter looks like this, your equipment, internal parts of your equipment look like this: the squirrel cage blower, the blower motor, the heat exchanger, the evaporator coil, your ductwork will all look like this too. And that's not what you want. So very important to keep that filter changed. Typically, every 3 months is a good amount to change that. Some people change it every month. If you have a lot of pets in the house that create a lot of dander and fur, then you probably want to change it once a month. If you don't, every 3 months is fine. So this filter is the clean filter, which is the 1 inch, and there's the doormat. So that's a 1 year difference in those two filters right there. And that was one of our customers that we picked up on our planned maintenance agreement. This actually came out of their house on it. Okay, next filter, next slide. Now this is the 4 inch, which is the MERV 13 air filter, and it has 4 inch pleated filters, so it's very deep. And this will last you about a year in the house, depending on if you have animals or not in the house. If you have animals, you probably want to change it twice a year instead of once a year. But this filter is an excellent filter and filtrates the air and keeps the equipment clean and at high performance. It does a great job. And the three things that we do when we come out, you've got the 3 Ds, which is dust, dirt, and debris. And these can impact the operation of your AC or your heat pump. And what you want to do when you get out to an outdoor unit is you want to always rinse or wash your condenser coil once a year. You want to do that. And if we move forward on the slides, we'll have some slides on that. But first thing you want to do is when you get to the outdoor unit, you want to turn the power off. And when you get inside the unit, you'll look and see debris down in there. Will be leaves and pine straw and dirt. And if you can't reach down in there, you can use a shop vac and reach in there and get a shop vac to get it out. But if you can reach it, just grab it with your fingers and grab it out of the unit. And then we'll wash it down, and we'll show you some slides here on the next couple of slides on how to do that. There's where you turn the power off. There's a disconnect box on the wall right behind the air conditioner. Some of them are a breaker, which you can just turn the switch off. Some of them are a pull disconnect. This one happens to be a pull disconnect. So you just pull that off, and then we'll move on and wash the coil after this. So, well, this is showing trimming this bush back because air conditioners need air to circulate air through the coil to cool the refrigerant that's inside of the coil pack. And out the top of your air conditioner, you always know that it's blowing hot air. Well, what it's doing, it's sucking air in through the coil pack, transferring the temperature from the ambient air going in to the coil pack, and what's coming out is the hot temperature above it. So we're transferring the air. In doing that, we need to keep clear airspace around that condenser coil or heat pump. So what you do is you trim your bush back if that's what you have, and that's what this situation was here. So the bush was being trimmed back, and you want to have minimum of 1 foot clearance, preferably 2 feet or more. And that's what manufacturer represents. If we move to the next, this is looking down inside that particular air conditioner, and you can see the components, the compressors there, the fan blade, the fan motor. You have a liquid line dryer, but mainly what we're looking for when we're doing maintenance is the leaves and the debris in the bottom of it. And you can see all those leaves and debris down there in the bottom. So you want to get down in there, pull those leaves and debris out, and then get that stuff out of the way. And then you can wash the coil. And we'll go to the next slide. That is what a condenser coil, thin coil pack will look like right there. And that is a dirty one. So what you want to do is you want to wash that down. You can use a brush if you want to, but brush it with the vanes of the thin pack. If you go across them, then you're going to restrict airflow, and you don't want to do that. So you go on that one, it would be up and down, and you would gently do it. You wouldn't push the brush on there hard. You just gently go up and down and clean the debris off of there. Let me go to the next one. This is the thin pack looking through the grill on the outside of the air conditioner looking in. And what we want to do there, we can see that it's there. We want to clean that off. So there's 2 ways that you can clean this, and we'll go to the next slide. We'll see if this is the next slide. Yes. So the photo on the left is washing or rinsing the coil through the actual vanes of the outside grill of the unit itself. And that's one way to do it. And if that's what you can do, and that's all you can do, then you do that. And you would go up and down slowly, and then push at an angle, which you can see the water is at an angle there. And you would push the dirt off of the coil down to the bottom, and you just go up and down slowly all the way around the unit. That will usually take you about 30 minutes to do that, because it's time, and it really takes a lot of time to do that. Now the photo on the right is we take the fan off the top of the unit, and then we use the water hose from the inside out. Now anything that's impacted in the thin pack is being pushed out of the thin pack and out of the unit. So now that is the best way to wash a coil down right there. Now you can use coil cleaner if you want, and put that on. If you've got a really dirty coil that's impacted, you would want to have some coil cleaner. But if not, you can just use water and rinse it like that. So we can go to the next slide. Inspect the condensate drains. The condensate drains are usually PVC that comes off of the evaporator coil. It's usually a 3/4 inch PVC pipe, and they drain basically to the outside of the house. Most of them do. Some go down into a condensate pump, and then the pump is got a 3/8 tubing that goes outside of the home, typically out by your air conditioners. Now these pipes, if we can go on to the next slide, these pipes need to be checked and cleaned, and the pumps need to be cleaned. And every year that needs to happen. Now these are photos and examples of where your pipe comes out of your evaporator coil and where it goes down into a condensate pump. So In the pump, we usually put algae pills in there. If you don't have algae pills, you can put Clorox in that pump. And just be careful you don't splash it all over the place, but put the Clorox in it, and that will kill any mold, spores, and that kind of thing that would be in there. If you notice, the slide on the right has an emergency drain pan. That is typical in an area that would be in an attic or even in a basement or in a closet, wherever your furnace is located. And just in case you do have a condensate drain, the drain pan, the emergency drain pan there holds the water. And in the front of the pump there, you'll see two red wires going down to a float switch. That float switch will stop water from going over the pan and flooding the rest of the room or the ceiling in the attic or the basement, whichever it is. Now, if you notice, that pan is clean. You want to make sure your emergency drain pan is clean, because you don't want anything to block that float switch and cause an issue with that float from doing its job. So we go to the next slide. This is an inspection tee for the condensate. It comes off the evaporator coil, and it is not glued, and it's written there in the black marker. It says not glued. That's used to open that up so that you can look down into the pipe and see that water is draining through. It's also a spot you can pour bleach in or put an algae tab in, and that would keep the condensate clean for the year. We go to the next one. Two more examples of condensate drains going to pumps. Notice the one on the left, just directly off the evaporator coil, there's a 3/4 inch union. It's hard to see, but it's right there above the black knob on the left of the furnace. And what that does, it enables you to unscrew that, clean the pipe out, and then put it back together. So it's an easy way to clean your pipes every year right there on the condensate drain. The one on the right is just another typical example. It does have an emergency drain pan under it also. And there's an example of a filter door on the return on the right side there. It's an easy access to change your filter. That door just opens up. You put the filter in there, and you put the door back on, and you're done with your filter. That happens to be the MERV 13 4-inch wide filter, which is an excellent filter to have for your house. Okay, if we go to the next one. This is another example of a filter rack. This happens to be a 1-inch filter rack. That track slides out. You put the filter in it, and then it slides back in. Very easy to do. So if you're changing your furnace out anytime in the near future, or your air handler out anytime in the near future, these are the kind of things that you want to ask the contractor about. If the easy way to change the filter, and also a good way that the air filter is actually getting 100% of the air through the filter, so your air is being filtered as it's going through. These two boxes that I just showed you are excellent ways to have your filters installed and on your next system that you put in. Okay, your next one. If you don't have good, clean filters, if you get the doormat, basically, this is what your duct system is going to be like. Right here, your duct system is going to get nasty, and when you get it this bad, it's really time to replace that ductwork right there. It's got so much debris in it, it's not worth cleaning on that. So don't do that. Make sure you clean your filters or change your filters, on a month or every 3 months to prevent this kind of stuff right here. Okay, next. Also, if you don't change your filter, then your equipment gets dirty, and air cannot go through the evaporator coil. That is an evaporator coil. It's a fin pack. Fin packs look like your radiator on your car, basically. But the air goes through that fin pack, but if it's blocked with dirt and debris, then it will ice up like that. That's one cause of an ice up. Low refrigerant charge can also cause your system to ice up. So if you see on the outdoor unit or on the indoor unit any ice on one of the two lines, the copper lines that go to it, we call that the line set. If you have any ice on any of those, you probably have either a restricted airflow, a dirty evaporator coil, something to that effect. And you really need to turn that system off and then have a professional come out and find out what's going on that. But one of the things that you can do is turn the system off and change the filter. If the filter is extremely dirty, that may be the cause of that ice buildup on that coil too. So that may save you a service call. Okay, next. This is a typical installation on today's units. And what ends up happening, the photo on the left, the house had to have a new line set run. The line set is very important on the new high efficiency units. They have to be properly sized. In the old days, the line sets, they were sized, but there weren't the sizes we need today. So a lot of times we have to go in and change the line set. So if you have a contractor that says they need to put the line set in a line height down the outside of the house, this is what they're talking about. So don't be surprised if this happens. This is done on a daily basis and would make it look like that one there looks like a downspout. And if you look to the left corner of that house, you can see the downspout on the back of the house. It looks exactly like the downspout that's used for that line set there. And then it comes down on the photo on the right. You can see it come down, and then the line set comes out of the unit and then goes to the, or out of the downspout and comes to the units. And those are two, very, very good installed units. If your unit is not level, there is a good view right there. Your unit should be level. If it's not leveled, your unit needs to be leveled. It can be leveled by just putting anti-vibration pads under the edges of parts of the unit to lift it up, to level it. But if you ever do that, make sure that you do not pinch the line set at all. Make sure there's flexibility before you move the unit. Just moving it an inch sometimes can cause a refrigerant leak or something to that effect. So be very careful about that if you're thinking about leveling your unit. Okay, next. Well, that's what I have. So D. McKee and Heat and Air, we were glad to be here. Thank Cobb EMC for having us, and we appreciate it. And Jeff Mason will be the next speaker. And here you go, Jeff.
Thank you, Dennis. That's good information that Dennis gave us there. If you, again, just real quick, if you stop and think about it, the HVAC system, that's the largest user of energy in your home, so keep it well maintained. But yes, I'm Jeff Mason. I'm an energy advisor with Cobb EMC, and I do energy audits for Cobb as well. And today I'm going to go over some things that you may not be aware of that are available on our website, and a little bit about energy auditing. So on our energy network, there are some incentives available. So we have an EV charger incentive. Cobb EMC wants to help, make it easier. If you go electric, you can get up to a $250 incentive when you install an EV charger in your home. In addition to that, there's an energy incentive for energy efficiency. And in that incentive, you could receive up to $500 for an incentive on energy efficiency improvements for your home, such as HVAC replacement, water heater replacement, attic insulation, air leak sealing, duct sealing, and LED lighting. And in addition to that, there is a incentive for smart thermostat. And with the smart thermostat incentive, you can get up to $100 incentive when you install a smart thermostat in your home. And all of that can be found at cobbemc.com/energy network. There's lots of good information there. Next, please. Yeah. In addition to that, I don't know if a lot of people may not know this, but Cobb EMC, we have 5 different rate plans that you can choose from. So we do have a rate selection tool that's available. If you look down there at the bottom, so for an apartment, say roughly 900 square feet, they did some calculations and figured out that that's roughly 870 kilowatt hours a month usage on an apartment that size. So there's a small home, 1,600 square feet, like a single family. That's roughly 1,040 kilowatt hours a month. And then there's a family size home, which is 2,000 square feet on average. And the average monthly usage would be 1,560 kilowatt hours. And then up to large home, 2,500 plus square feet, can be 2,000 plus kilowatt hours a month. But you can use those as averages. And obviously, if you're a Cobb EMC member and you already have a usage history, you can retrieve that history and be able to see exactly what may be a better rate that might work for you. And again, that's on cobbemc.com/rates, where you can find our rates. In addition to that, we have our Energy Saving Center. And there you can find energy saving tips to help make things a little more efficient around the house. We also have Amazon Shop. You can go there and you can buy expert approved energy efficiency products and more for your home. And again, that's at Amazon Shop, and that's located on the Cobb EMC site. And in addition, you can locate the Energy Network there as well. So you can take your home to the next level with energy saving and smart technology improvements. And again, that's on cobbemc.com/save is where you will find those. Next slide. Also, shifting to energy audits themselves, you can request an energy audit from Cobb EMC. That is a free service that we provide. But in an energy audit, we often is the first step to making your home and business more efficient. You can sign up at cobbemc.com/audit. And one of our energy advisors, I'm one of those as well, will be happy to come out to your house and perform that audit for you. Next slide. And we can move on to the next slide from here. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about this. I'm going to hit some of the high points. So obviously it's summertime, it's really hot outside. So window tinting can really help out. If you have a side of your home with windows and it's catching a whole lot of sun, that creates what's called solar heat gain. And it's a lot of solar heat gain if you have a lot of windows. So there are some really high-tech window tints on the market now that can help out with that. They still let in ambient light, but they reflect a lot of that solar heat gain back out, which is what you want in the summertime. You want to try to reduce the amount of heat that's being generated by the sun in the home. Also, curtains and blinds. Obviously, the same kind of scenario. If you're getting a lot of sun on the side of the home and you've got curtains and blinds there, just keep those closed during the day. That'll reflect some of that heat back out and keep from heating your home up so much. Caulking is really important as well. Again, if the side of the house is getting a lot of sun, that means it's getting a lot of ultraviolet light. And over time, that ultraviolet light will break down the caulk. It can start cracking and falling out. And when that happens, you can develop air leaks around exterior windows and doors. So just maybe once a year, in springtime, go out outside of your home, just do a walk around and have a look and look around your windows, exterior windows and doors, and see if you have any caulking that's breaking down or falling out. If you discover that and you're a do-it-yourselfer, it's not a big deal. You can go to one of your big box hardware stores, get some caulk. You can take care of those air leaks. Next slide, please. Thermostats. Now, the settings you see here, these are recommended from Department of Energy, and that's what we use. So in summer, they recommend 78 degrees, and in the winter, 68 degrees. I'll be in a home talking to someone about this, and obviously it's summertime, and I mentioned 78, and it gets a good chuckle out of them. But just understand that, yeah, obviously we live in our homes and we like things a certain way. So if you like it cooler, just understand that you're going to use more energy to accomplish that. So programmable thermostats. If you don't have a programmable thermostat, it's a good idea, and it's a good idea especially if you have kind of a common routine in your home. And what I mean by that is, like, say everybody's out by 7 a.m. and they're back home at 5 in the afternoon. In that situation, a programmable thermostat can save you some money. So I know in a lot of scenarios, a lot of things I see going out into homes these days that couples are working out of the home. So if that's the case, inevitably one of them will get uncomfortable and go by and mess with the thermostat. So if you got that going on, you're not going to get the energy savings that you could get if you just left the thermostat alone. Next slide, please. And attic insulation. So I've been doing this for a number of years. So this is the number one thing that I come across is lack of attic insulation. So if you look at this picture, what you can see is the tops of the ceiling joists right here. So in most homes, it's either got 2x6s or 2x8s. I've even been in some homes where they've got 2x4s for the ceiling joist. So think about it. If you can see the tops, like say, for example, if these were just 2x6s, that means you've only got about 6 inches of insulation right there. So that's not adequate. Our current code is R38, and R38 is 17 to 18 inches thick. So this attic in this picture could definitely use some additional information. Excuse me, additional insulation. But insulation can make a big difference because that's what you're trying to accomplish here. Your heating and air system runs, especially for us in the summer, the air conditioning's running. And if there's not enough insulation in the attic, then that system is going to cycle more often. So that means it's going to use more energy. So if it's insulated properly, it's not going to cycle as much. That means you save energy. So again, insulation is a big deal. Next slide, please. And our water heater. So water heating is the second largest user of energy in the home. You want to, maybe have the temperature around 120 to 140 degrees, somewhere in that area. But especially, this is a point that you need to think about if you have small children in the home, because you certainly don't want to have the water so hot that you end up scalding somebody. So if you do have small children, I really recommend get it around 120 degrees. Also, obviously, it's not running as often. If you lower the temperature, and it's going to save you some energy. Insulation on pipes. So what that is referring to there, if you look in the photo, I've got my hand on that pipe. That's the output on a water heater. The output obviously is the hot side. So if that's bare copper all the way up to where it disappears into the wall, excuse me, that thing's radiating the hot water right there, and that's a loss. It's not as efficient as it could be. So you can get these foam insulators, again, from one of your big box hardware stores. And usually it's like, they're 3/4 of an inch in diameter, and they're split all the way down the middle, but they're designed to wrap around copper pipes like this. So on the hot water side, it's a good idea to insulate those. It'll make things more efficient. It should, help out. Next slide, please. In addition, on our website for additional tips, obviously, say for example, you decide you want to rearrange a room in the house, just make sure you don't block any supply vents or return vents. That system is designed to operate in your home and move a certain amount of airflow. And if you start blocking ducts or supplies, you can cause a problem for sure. Chimney seals for a chimney. Now, a lot of the older design chimneys, they have a damper in there that you close to close it off. But a lot of those dampers, they don't seal well at all. So a chimney seal is a good thing to get. It's probably easiest, you could just Google fireplace chimney seals. And the ones I'm talking about, this is not a permanent seal. It's a temporary. You can actually inflate it. It stays sealed. And then if you decide you want to use the fireplace, you just let the air out and you can remove the seal. So, again, it's not permanent, but it will, seal the airflow if you're having a draft problem with that chimney. Gaskets behind switch plates. So air is a lot like water. It's looking for the path of least resistance. So it can come in, through the ceiling, come down the walls and around your exterior switches and plugs on the house. You can sometimes, if you put your hand up there, you can feel air in the wintertime, especially if it's windy outside, and say, oh, there's a draft right here. Now there's a way to address that. So again, go to your hardware store, and they make these foam gaskets. They're already pre-cut. You just take the switch cover or the plug-in cover off. You put the foam in there, and it will block that airflow or stop that airflow. So that's a good way to stop any types of drafts you maybe have coming into the home from that area. Weather stripping on the outside of doors. And again, this is exterior, doors. There's usually a rubber weather strip that runs across the bottom. And obviously you're opening and closing the door all the time. So that will break down and rip over time. So when that happens, you're going to have an air leak on the bottom of that door. So that weather stripping, just inspect it occasionally. If it looks bad, again, it's a pretty easy fix if you want to replace it. Also, the photo at the bottom left, there's a do-it-yourself energy audit that you can find on cobbemc.com/audit. And also there's an audit video that's out there. It's at cobbemc.com/YouTube. So that'll kind of give you a walkthrough of one of our audits. Next slide, please. That concludes my portion. And next up, we have Miss Jenny Hawkins. She's the Vice President of Customer Care for Gas South, and she's going to talk to us now. And thank y'all for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, and good afternoon, everybody. I am Jenny Hawkins from Gas South. I am here excited really to talk to you all about Gas South a little bit as a business, the benefits that we extend to Cobb EMC members, and share our top tips to help you reduce those energy expenses and keep a lot of your hard-earned money. So if you don't know much about Gas South, we were founded in 2006. We're the largest natural gas marketer in the Southeast. We have 500,000 customers across the residential, commercial, and industrial spaces. And importantly, we're a wholly owned subsidiary of Cobb EMC. And that matters to you because our profitability and success is really tied to Cobb EMC's ability to continue to invest in your member experience and keep your electricity rates low. Our purpose is to be a fuel for good. We care about our customers and our employees, and we really are focused on elevating our industry and supporting our communities. And as an example of that, one of the cool things that we do that's very important to our culture is we donate 5% of annual profits every year to organizations that support children in need. And that's been more than 16 million since 2006. So part of my role as being responsible for customer care. And if you don't mind advancing the slide there, thank you. I'm responsible for ensuring that we deliver an awesome customer experience, making sure that doing business with us is easy and that any issues that our customers have are resolved quickly and that our agents provide exceptional service, friendly professional service to all of our customers. And we also are there for our customers to support them through difficult times, making sure that they can keep their gas turned on, through creative ways of working out pay plans, etc. So very important to us that our customers have a great experience. And we do that through the culture that we have here at Gas South. Employee engagement is very important to us. Making sure that our frontline employees are empowered is really critical. And we're proud of our recent high Google review and customer survey ratings that we have experienced in recent years. So with that, let's jump into the most important part, and you're going to hear some of the same themes from me that you heard from Jeff around, kind of the critical areas that you can consider to really help kind of offset a lot of the challenges families are having right now with rising inflation and cost of everything going up. So the big kind of top three that we have highlighted here are around that hot water heater you heard Jeff talk about, that 120 degrees, kind of the sweet spot. So comfortable enough for showers and other household needs, but will help you save money. That smart thermostat, so there's examples of different brands on the market. There's a lot of them out there. One that is highly rated is the Nest Learning Thermostat. So check that one out along with similar ones, and installing that will also help you take advantage of the incentive that Jeff mentioned that Cobb EMC is offering their members right now. And that will help you save up to 10% off your utility bills as well. And then mentioning the part around 78 degrees, I know that's a little warm in the summer, 68 in the winter, but put those kids in sweatshirts in the winter, wear some tank tops around the house in the summer, and you'll really see the difference, not only in your summer energy use, but in your natural gas in the winter, if you can keep it a little bit cooler. Last but not least is that blocking out the sun. So I like natural light in my home, like many of you probably do, but during the hottest periods of the day, if you keep those blinds and curtains closed, it'll really make a difference. And that's also the case in the winter as well with your with just your energy use overall. So in closing, on my last slide, really want to highlight how we make saving easy at Gas South. So our Cobb EMC members can sign up to transfer service online or start new service. We offer special discounts to Cobb EMC members on our already competitive rates. You'll be eligible for bill credits. There's different plans that you can consider, including our one price plan, which lets you have a monthly fixed rate that you pay. That also helps make anticipating bills easier and your budget implications more easily understood so that you can plan for that. We never charge deposits, and there's no connection fee for Cobb EMC members. And best of all, our existing customers, not just our new ones, get the best rates. So when it's time for you to renew your plan, you know that you're always getting our best prices. So feel free to sign up for service online or give us a call at your convenience if you have any questions, or we can be of service. So thank you so much for your time and appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all.
Thank you, Jenny. I'm Lauren Morris. I'm Cobb EMC's Consumer Marketing Specialist. I want to first just thank all of our speakers for being with us today. You guys all shared some really good information that our members can take home and implement. But it looks like we've already received a few questions, so I want to go ahead and invite all of our panelists to come back on camera and mic, and then we can get to our Q&A portion of the webinar. All right, so it looks like my first question is going to be for Jeff. We had a member who was asking, what are some low-cost options for those who are in apartments that they can do to lower their energy costs?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, for apartments, and we do go out to apartments occasionally, but with an apartment, you're relying on the maintenance group that's at that complex to take care of things. But what you can do, if you don't think it's been done for a while, you could request that they come out and inspect and maybe service the HVAC system, and also the water heater as well. A lot of apartments will have electric water heaters. Those do need to be checked occasionally. There are two heating elements in an electric water heater. And it can happen where one of those can burn out. So again, it's maintenance things in an apartment. The HVAC system is the big user, and the water heater. Just make sure those are checked on a regular basis.
Thank you, Jeff. So this does not necessarily go with this topic, but I did want to mention it. We received a few questions pertaining to solar, but I did want to let all of you know that we are actually going to be having a solar seminar on our campus on July 30th, where we will discuss residential solar. We already have a link up where you can RSVP for this today if you would like. That is at cobbemc.com/seminar. So I just want to mention that since I saw a few come in. But my next question is going to be for Dennis. We had a member who asked, is there a way to check your AC's efficiency on your own? And if so, does it require any tools?
Yes, you can check it on your own. It does require some tools. Basically, if you had a thermometer, so you can check the temperature of the air going into the return and then it exiting on the supply. The easiest way for you to do that is to put that thermometer at the closest return vent to the furnace and get the temperature there, and then get the temperature exiting, which is in the supply, the closest supply to the furnace or the air handler. And then you get the difference in the two temperatures. So manufacturer wants your temperature to be 15 to 20 degree difference in the temperature. So if you're in that frame of 15 to 20 degree difference, that would be that your air conditioner is operating basically to manufacturer specifications. So for example, if you had entering air at 90 degrees in your return and you had exiting air coming out of your supply at 70, you would have a 20 degree difference in temperature. If you had that, you would be perfect. So that's how you would check it with a homeowner.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dennis. I have another question. I think I have a lot of questions for Dennis. We had a member who was asking that they already put white vinegar in their condensate pump. Is that okay?
Oh, white vinegar is great to put in there. That's a good cleaner. Vinegar cleans everything. So, you know, you can also put the bleach in if you wanted to do that. You always want to make sure that it's coming out the other end. So if you put fluid in, go out to where the drain is and see where the drain exits and make sure that the vinegar or the water is coming, you know, out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually got another question regarding Clorox with the same. So we had another member, Dennis, who asked how much Clorox should be added to the pump and how often.
About a cup of Clorox would be plenty. And I would do it during the operation, probably about twice a year. It would be good during the summertime. That's when you're using it. That's what I would do with that. But just make sure that your pump's clean to start with, and then then maintain it by keeping it clean by putting the Clorox in.
Okay. And then Jeff, we had a member, they were asking, is the smart thermostat credit per household? And also if they had that work done in 2015 would it be applicable to our current incentive?
Yeah, it's per household, and no, I think that's out of the time frame. I want to say, I don't know cold off the top of my head, but I want to say it's within 12 months, maybe. So,
Correct. And then Jeff, we had someone who was asking about the energy audits. They wanted to know if the blower door test was included in the audits that you do.
no, it is not. The blower door tests, they're pretty complicated. And you know, if I were to come out and try to do a blower door test at your house, I'd probably be there 4 or 5 hours, and I don't think you'd like that. But no, the audits we do, it's a basic walkthrough audit. And what I like to tell members when I talk to them is, I like to start in the attic. I'll have a look at the insulation. I'll kind of have a look at the HVAC ductwork. I'll walk the main floor of the home. And what I'm just trying to do is give you common sense ideas how to save energy around the house. So, and like I say, the attic insulation, that's the number one thing that we see that needs to be upgraded.
Okay.
So one thing I can say about that, Jeff, is that's basically an infiltration test. The blower door is.
Yes.
And there's other things you're testing with the blower door, but Jeff talked about different things during his presentation about caulking and putting insulation in that. And that is part of what you find out what you need when you do that blower door test. Over the years, we've done them. We're not doing them anymore at my company. But over the years, big things that I see in attics, if you see pink insulation or yellow insulation where everything is that color, and then you see a section that is dirty, that area is getting infiltration. You need to find where that air infiltration is coming from, because what's happening, the insulation is acting as a filter, and as air moves through that insulation, it collects the dust and dirt that a filter would, like in the furnace. That's a key indicator that you have infiltration in your house, and you need to find out why it's doing that. And those are key things like Jeff was just talking about. If he walks through your house, he can see things like this. So, but those are things that homeowners can see very easily. If they see dirty insulation in one spot on the whole attic, then you got a problem there. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to answer this one, break it up a little bit. We had a member that was asking for some clarification regarding our current energy network incentive. The question was, are these incentives only for updating older systems right now, not purchasing a new home which installed a smart thermostat and other energy saving features? So I'm going to answer it in the way I think I read it. All of our incentives are for new upgrades that you are making. So if you were to go and purchase that smart thermostat and install it, it would be eligible for that incentive. If it's something that's already pre-existent in the home, it would not be eligible. So those are for new upgrades or changes that you are making within the home that would be available for our incentives that we currently have. The next question is about Dennis. They wanted to know if they could have the contact information for your company.
Yes. Our phone number at our office is 770-425-8779. Again, that's 770-425-8779. Our website is dmckeon.com, which is DMCKEON.com, DMCKEON.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. And that was actually a two-part question, so I'm going to take the other half. In that message, they had also asked, how do we find a trusted company to make these improvements in their home? And I will say that Cobb EMC, we do have an approved list of contractors that are on our webpage. It can be found at cobbemc.com/approved-contractors. But on that page is a full list of not just HVAC contractors, but we have electricians, we have EV installers. There's quite a few different ones that you can go and sift through, but all of the people on that list have gone through an application process and we have vetted their companies. So that is one way to find someone in your area that you might want to use. But regardless, we do always recommend you at least get 3 quotes before you have work done, so you can always feel confident that you're getting the best work for your money. But the next question, Jeff, we have one that says, how do you replace the weather stripping at the bottom of your door? It looks like they had bought some, but it seemed like I'd have to take the doors off the hinges. So they wanted some clarification on how to do that.
Yeah. There's the design I see most often. that piece of rubber weather strip will actually slide out, or you can actually you have to push it. It's rubber, obviously, so it'll collapse, but you push on it and it'll come out of the track. So there's two sides of it and they're both in a track. So if you push it and pop it out of the track, you can get that piece of rubber weather stripping up and then put a new piece down. If it's really cantankerous, usually there's you can take a few screws out of wood screws that are actually holding that threshold down, and that might make it a little easier to change that weather stripping out.
Dennis, we got a question for you. Their question was, my HVAC system was replaced in 2015 on my basement concrete slab. A drain pan was not put under the equipment, but all the equipment guts are elevated above the bottom. And heavy rain, sometimes my basement gets water at the HVAC unit. Should I correct this?
Typically, you would put it up, raise it up a couple inches when it's put in that situation. You know, if there's water getting into a basement, your system's 9 years old at this time. And I don't know how high it's coming up. Is it coming up just an inch in it, or is it just getting the floor wet, or is it actually coming up and getting on the motor, on the furnace? Is it coming up 2 feet? You know, it's hard to tell without, more detail on that. But water against the equipment is not good. So if the answer really would be yes, that would be a good thing to correct.
Makes sense. Jeff, we had a few questions about the audit, so I'm going to wrap them together. We were asked, how long does it normally take, and is there a cost to have you guys come out and do that audit?
Yeah. Okay, great. No, the audits that we do, they're a free service for our members. And generally, here's what I tell people. They'll ask, well, how long is it going to take? So I'll go out to a home, and I've actually had situations where somebody will open the door and say, let me know when you're finished. So if that's the case, I mean, I'm done in 15 or 20 minutes. And then thankfully, a lot of the time, homeowner will be interested. They'll follow me around and ask questions and make notes. And I always book enough time. If I need to be there 45 minutes or 50 minutes or whatever, I'm more than happy to do that. But I don't mind at all. People, I welcome questions while I'm doing an audit. It's good to be curious and to kind of figure out what's going on in your home.
Okay. And I will say we had a few questions that were kind of in this realm. I just wanted to mention that a lot of the information, like the web links that we went over to the audit form, to our energy saving page, they are going to all be included in the follow-up email that everyone will be receiving. We also are recording this webinar, so it will be on our YouTube channel as well, which will be in that email when it gets sent out. So all of you will have access to this information later if you'd like to refer to it. Dennis, we had a few more for you. One person asked, do you have any comments on duct cleaning, and is it necessary if you do maintenance on your system?
Over a period of years, you are going to get dust in your system, and we recommend that at least, every about 17 to 20 years, you do your duct cleaning. So yes, duct cleaning is important. But if you have kept your system clean with changing the filters regularly, you won't have much dust in it.
Jeff, we had a question. It said, are attic fans a good investment to keep the house cool in the summer?
From where we live in the southeastern U.S., I don't recommend attic fans. Now, I get it. I go in homes and people have them, and some people like them. And if you like them, I completely understand. But just stop and think about it. And and from my viewpoint, energy efficiency, there's a couple of weeks in the spring and a couple of weeks in the fall when you can use an attic fan here and enjoy it. Otherwise, you're bringing in, heat, humidity, and pollen. So yeah, I don't recommend them, but I do understand there are people that do enjoy them. They like the sound. I get it. So if you like it, great. But again, I wouldn't recommend one from an energy efficiency standpoint.
It looks like I have two more questions. They're both going to be for Dennis, but I think they're going to be our last two. So Dennis, the first one is, please advise when changing your filter, how to make sure your airflow arrow is correct.
That's a good question. In fact, the last seminar I did here at Cobb EMC, we had a lady ask that particular question. We had a filter that I could show, but the arrow should point at the blower motor is where it should point. You typically have a metal screen on one side or some kind of a screen on one side and clear filter on the other. The arrow would be pointing towards the screen on the side of the filter, and that will go towards the blower motor. And that keeps, when the blower motor sucks the air through it, it keeps it from sucking the actual filter into the squirrel cage blower area. So yes, it's very important that the arrow points at the blower motor.
Makes sense. Sorry. So my last question that I'm going to be able to get to, Dennis, like I said, it's for you. We have a question that says, does using my fan while running my air conditioning increase cost, or can I run the fan solo without air to decrease the cost?
Yes and yes. So running the blower motor with the air conditioning running will keep circulation in the house and make you feel more comfortable because it keeps the air circulating through the house. That is an advantage of having a DC blower, variable speed blower motor, because that particular type of motor is a lower cost operation, sort of like an incandescent light bulb to an LED light bulb. You can have the LED light bulb run at a lot less cost than the incandescent light bulb like we used to have. Today, variable speed blower motors are what you want to purchase when you're buying your air handler or your furnace, because that is a lower cost operation. So your old furnaces were called permanent split capacitor motors, and it ran on high or low, and that was it. So it costs more to operate those. So depending on what type of blower motor you have, you can run it and it will cost you less or it will cost you more depending on what kind of motor you have. I recommend running the blower on, keeping it circulating in the house. You filter the air as it's going, and it circulates the air and dehumidifies better throughout the house also while the air conditioner is running.
Okay.
So I would recommend doing that. And depending on the blower motor you have, again, is the cost. So I recommend running them. It does cost you more to do it either way, but it's more comfortable in your house.
Okay, and I actually have one more question. I was wrong. I'm going to open this to Jeff and Dennis. We had one member who had asked, I have a 29-year-old gas furnace attached to a 15-year-old AC unit. The furnaces seem to work good. Is there any possible energy savings if I replace both that might justify the expense of replacing both of those systems?
You want me to jump in first, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm going to defer to Dennis.
Okay.
The licensed contractor is his bailiwick.
Thank you, Jeff. If you replace the furnace by itself, then you have the company come out with their labor and do the job. If you come out separately and do the air conditioner, then you have the company come out with their labor and do the job. It costs more to do that. If you come out and do them both at the same time, it costs less because the labor is already there. So you have less trips and everything's there. If you've got that old of a furnace, I would recommend replacing it. And I would replace it with a variable speed motor furnace, a variable speed furnace. And again, it's because of the way the cost of operation is with that. And with the air conditioner, I believe you said it was 15 years old. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you've had the life of the air conditioner typically is the 12 to, in that 12-year range, and you got 3 extra years out of that. So if you want dependability and reliability, then you would, change it. And also that being 12 years old, you're probably down at a 10 SEER air conditioning rating. And SEER is seasonal energy efficiency ratio. So today your minimum is 15, and we go up into the 20s on those ratings on air conditioning now in the SEER ratings. So I would recommend changing both of them out, and it would save you money to do them both at the same time.
Sounds good. Well, that was our last question, but I do want to thank all of our panelists for being with us today and all of you for attending as well.